Good morning and welcome back to the channel. So about a month ago I did a deck called the Perfect Tribute, and it was an off the books deck that had lots going around with the tributes and poison and whatnot, with King of Beggars and Savola getting like a buff, I guess you could say here, and an existence, I guess you could say here. It makes a huge difference for this deck right now, and I wanted to take it in a little bit more of a different direction than I did in my previous version. So the previous one focused a lot more on self-poison and getting value off things like the Wretched Addicts, and then having, you know, a lot of mid-range cards like the Brasorti Brothers and things like that. I believe it was Devotion. However, I decided that this one could be a little bit stronger, in my opinion, if it wasn't Devotion. So to go into it here, we have Siggy. Now, Siggy's going to be profiting 9 in this cage, which is going to fill up our bank all the way because we do have enough different starting categories in the deck to get it up to the 9 coin profit, which is perfect for getting out the Flying Redaning, filling our bank, and getting ready for some of our tributes. Now, we have Carapace Heatwave, able to banish a unit or artifact. I do believe in this meta you need multiple Tall Punishes or a Tall Punish and a Heatwave. So in this case, Heatwave just sees its place here. If I was playing Devotion, the alternative would probably be Horson in this place, but I just think the non-Devotion version is probably a little bit more versatile. And of course, King of Beggars here, huge new card. This has made some of the Syndicate decks like Jackpot and whatnot tier 1, but I wanted to see maybe if this can help, you know, one of the more forgotten leader abilities like off the books be a bit better. So with the feat 1, we boost self by 1. While in deck, whenever you play a tribute, remove a counter for each coin paid. For each removed counter, gain 1 coin back. When it reaches 0, summon it to the field, and it's a counter of 9. So all we have to do is tribute 9. Now take in consideration here that with our deck, our tributes cost 1 less. So we have to actually play more than just a Savola. We have to take at least 2 tributes. So we have cards like Ludo, Morils, and so forth that we can get to that are going to be helping to get the King of Beggars out. So it plays a little bit different than Jackpot in what you've maybe seen King of Beggars in before, because you're used to just getting all the coin right back. If you over profit from things, you're basically boosting, you know, and stuff like that. It's a little bit easier to manage the coin. In this case here, we don't have a lot of cards that are giving us profit. So getting those coin back from tribute when we take them is actually just going to be used in that round to take our round. It's not going to be stored too much. We're going to actually, you know, use that to put in either self boost or damage and stuff like that. So we don't have a huge King of Beggars swing, but we're less reliant on that play to win, I find, because of it. Now moving on here, Philippa's great because when we do have a Siggy bank fill, or when we do have a Ludo bank fill, and so forth, we have a few ways to get profit here. This is going to be great because we can go ahead and take one of their most important plays away from them, and we know in the meta right now that every faction's got that one scary play at least. So to be able to go and take that card, or even a defender or something useful for our side of things, keeping things safe, could be a game changer. And this helps us get out of that awkward position where we have lots of coin and we have cards that profit, and so we're not wasting as much coin when we have a hard spender like Philippa, and I think it just works out quite well here. Now, Decree was a tough one, but I decided to give Decree a try because I would normally run the Vivaldi Bank. And with Vivaldi Bank, it's a little bit of a lottery. You have to make sure that you have enough coin to pay for down what you need at the bottom of the deck. Now, when we're taking tributes and we're spending coin to get down to the bottom of our deck, for example, we might not have enough coin after we go and look for the card to come back and be able to actually play it. So it made a bit more sense for me to go ahead here and take the Royal Decree because it's just guaranteed. We're not spending any coin to get it. The only sort of pitfall from this one here is that we can't go in for something like the Salamander Hideout. We can't go in for something like the Carapace Heatwave. So we're stuck just pulling out units. But it seemed to be working out quite well because there's not a lot of cards besides units that we're generally going for anyways. And of course, Savola doesn't need an explanation here. We're going to be getting out the Savola's Frightener, just tons of points in short round. We have Morils as my second form of Tall Punish. With the tribute going down to 5 to destroy a unit, it's very inexpensive, but we can also just take its deployability. So I value this card like the Horson, but maybe a bit better. You know, that's why I didn't want to go for the Devotion version, because this does what the Horson would have done anyways, and it's less expensive. We even get the coin back if we play it early, so it just makes sense here. Now, Syndicate does struggle a little bit for thinning out the deck. I don't really want to have 2 sets of thin packages because I run into too many bricks when I put the Sewer Raiders and the Bouncers. So I decided just to go ahead and put, you know, Flying Redanian, the Bouncers, and then of course the Beggars, right? And it seemed to be working pretty well. But Flying Redanian, we want to get out as early as possible. Horde 9, we're able to summon it from the deck or graveyard to random allied row. So you want to try and get this out every single round. And we have multiple ways to get, like I said, tall coins in our bank here. So it should be able to come out at least 2 of the rounds, but definitely once in the game. Earlier the better, just to get that card out so that we can pull into some of our golds later on. And Salamander Hideout, it's one of those things where in the previous version I had the bombs and I was playing into the self-poison stuff more, but because the meta is very control heavy, I went with the Salamander Mages. Now we can pull a Salamander Mage, but we can also pull a Salamander Abomination, so we have the option of getting either depending on what the circumstance allows us to do. I kind of like if it's early on in the round and we want to bank a poison there and just wait for them to play something tall, we can just go ahead and self-poison Salamandra before the Adrenaline, take the poison off, transfer the poison, and put something like a Fist Tech or a Fist Tech Trafficker down. So it's very versatile there. If we're playing into like Fire Sworn or something like that, we can go ahead with the Mage and just take out some adjacent units. It plays tons of value that way. So whatever the situation allows us to do, whatever we need to do is what we have access to there. Walter's really cool because he got a little bit of a buff, and I don't know exactly when this happened, but I just noticed it. Someone played Walter against me and I said, wait, did it change? Did I miss it? So I went to the deck builder, saw that it was 8 provision, and I'm like, oh yeah, I've been wanting to play this card for a very long time. I used to play this card, my friends used to think that was ridiculous, but I'm trying it out again, and it seems to be working quite well because we could pull out a Spender, we can get out a Crime card, maybe a Fist Tech, maybe a follow-up Poison, right? If we need to complete a Poison, it has a lot of versatility there, maybe a Profit card if we need it. You know what I mean? It honestly, at 8, it's getting kind of attractive because no one complains when Nilfgaard actually plays Lydia for 9, and I know Lydia is a little bit less random, but again, it still costs a little bit more, so I wanted to try my luck here with Walter, and I'm actually happy that I made that decision there. And Ludo is like our alternative to a Caesar. A lot of people are running Caesar when I look at Jackpot decks, but I don't think Caesar really fits too well into here because we don't get that extra payoff from the big boost that it gives if we already have full coin. So Ludo just seems like a way to save provisions in that slot and, you know, still get the coin for it, and of course a tribute, whereas this one doesn't have a tribute tag. And of course Gellert's really good. I didn't want to play into Roland as well just because I felt like putting the pair wasn't as necessary here because we weren't going with the bombs. If I was running a bombs instead of mages, I probably would put the pair, right? Because we're really not getting a whole lot of value off this, assuming it sticks. I feel like we're better off playing into something that's a little bit more control based and putting in like the Horson. I even feel like the Walter might get some more surprise value than the Roland here, so that's why I opted to go for just one of the brothers instead of 2, and it seemed to be working quite well. We talked about the Swarm Punch, we talked about just having a good spender to remove engines off their side of the board. I think Horson's pretty much like auto-include for a lot of the Syndicate decks right now. Thinning, Poison, Spender, right? We want to spend this at Horde 7. It's most effective that way. Renegade Mage with the buff, so this went up to 4 base power recently, and that was what kind of inspired me to go ahead and make a second like 2.0 version of the previous deck, is because obviously the card just got better and I liked it before. So this is what we have here for you today. Now, I got 5 games I'm going to be playing for you guys with full commentary, so stick around for those. And if you like the content that you see, don't forget to subscribe. It goes a long way because we're going to be doing this on a full-time basis for the next little while. So let's get into the video here. Alright, and for the first game we got Nilfgaard Double Cross. I started recording this one, but then I'm like, you know what? Nah, I need to get a snack first. I had some cottage cheese. Not gonna lie, I kept it like kind of healthy. But we're back, I'm feeling pretty good, so let's get to it here. Obviously mulligan away the obvious bricks, King of Beggars, Redanian, so we don't have to deal with those in hand. Would have been nice if we had our casino bouncers here, but it's alright. And they're setting up a really nice poison. It's just one of those things where we might be able to run one off Walter. But if we put this down first, we could actually just transfer the poison. So, I like the versatility of the location. Didn't want to go full poison into this one, but having access to it's always kind of a preference. And so I don't think we wait before we transfer that over. If it hits the adrenaline effect, it's going to purify itself. So we have to be careful of that. Let's just go ahead and put this over here. Keep ourselves in the round by doing that. Ties it up. And then we can just look at playing maybe a couple of our bronzes.
I bring death, quite literally.
I don't really want to let their thinning package take us out of the round here, so we have to figure something out. I'm thinking either the mage here or the jackal. I went ahead and dumped that. I guess that works. Thinking back, I forgot I did that, but that actually makes kind of sense. I don't anticipate them to have much lock support, maybe other than the stratagem that they put, because it's likely going to be assimilate. Now, 5-point removal is a little iffy here, right? Wedged it in between the two at the time. I guess it was to avoid maybe a potential assassination if they had one. Would have stayed alive at 4. Hoping they don't roll a payday or something like that. That's okay. So I'm 99% sure at this point that they're not running poison packages. So there's consideration here to go into something like the Gellert and just go for the poison to help keep my units alive and get some good points that way. And I actually don't mind that too much. Yeah. I don't think we want to hit the emissary, because if they have a coup, that's just adding value to the coup. And just one more turn here. Fills bank and gets the boat out. So I guess that was the line here. We wanted some profit generation to really pay, get some good payoff from the jackal and to get that boat out for the Thin. Help increase the chances that we pull into some decent cards later on. Now, I wouldn't recommend taking that card without a tribute if you're playing into heavy control, but in this case it seemed to work. I wouldn't do it against maybe the Enslave or Onslaught or anything of that sort. Guerrilla Tactics is like a big no for that type of play, but here's fine. I'd likely do it against monsters as well. And that was a little bit of a low roll for them. Now, I think we could just play either or. I want to keep them in the round, so I want to play maybe the mage here. And it doesn't necessarily matter what we hit, to be fair. I don't really see them benefiting too much from the engine that they created. And that just puts us right ahead. Now, there was consideration to use Geller, but then boat wouldn't come out here. I think we just wait till now. And that could even get a jackal with a click, because if we have 7+ coin, we are getting the +3 instead of +2. So that helps keep us ahead quite nice. I'm hoping that this provokes maybe a leader, and we can get some good coin carryover regardless into round 2. I've noticed the King of Beggars plays a little bit differently in this deck because you have other tributes with varying amounts, so it's probable that you're going to be taking a couple of these tributes before you go and play the Savola. Therefore, the King of Beggars might already come out before the Savola, vice versa. If you play Savola first, you might not get King of Beggars, so, you know, you'll get them eventually, but you're not going to be getting that whole, you know, coin refill as soon as you play it, like it plays with Jackpot, for example. But because off the books coin management's a little bit more difficult than Jackpot, I think it's harder to get coin. You have to actually dedicate a bit more to it. You know, it makes sense quite well. With the less expensive tributes, it's pretty nice. Although we don't have a lot of profit cards, we just don't have to worry too much about getting the coin for them. So I think we just take this here. So we'll heal it, and we'll just, we'll boost it. And I don't think we need to take anything like coin here. I think we just leave it the way it is. I really like Walter, and I recall it used to be 9 provisions, so I felt a little bit guilty putting Walter in decks, but for 8, it's pretty good. We still have some great cards for later. We do have a pretty gold heavy hand here, so I'm hoping that we just get the pass we're looking for soon. Maybe what they have is too expensive, and there it is. And so, with that being said, it would be nice to try and go for a 2-0, but there's also the consideration here to go ahead and pass and get that double last save for round 3. But I think that I actually value the leader more than the double last save. I can get that commitment out because we have a lot of good cards in our hand. So we're missing King of Beggars and Savola. So if we can win, yeah, if we can win the game here without Savola, then it's like proof of concept tokens for our deck, right? And I don't think they're expecting a Philippa either. That's one of the best parts about it. I think Philippa's a great card. Well, depending on what you use, right? Take a token, it's a horrible card. But you take an engine, it's a great card. I don't know if we mind that too much. I don't really know if we want to play too well into this round, because if I play Siggy, yeah, we get bowed out, but we overprofit quite a bit. It's not like Jackpot here, right? So I opted to go for the card advantage. I think that's probably fine. Couple fist X is not exactly what I want to see here. I don't think we need all that coin. Yeah, so we're not getting it. Savola is the thing that's not going to happen, so that's fine. Now, Philippa's really good here because if they put down our horse in Freak Show, like I know they have it in their hand, it'll be 4 base power. We could click later once to take that back for ourselves. And so then we have that active spender. Sure enough, they play it first. Yeah, they must have just not been expecting Philippa, to be fair.
I'll never be imprisoned again.
So the issue here at the next turn is that I want to play Siggy and do nothing else. We can kill maximum of 4, click later twice, and get back out the boat. I just need to get the boat out there this turn. I think it's our opportunity. Usually on Siggy turn I like to get the boat out. Otherwise it sometimes just doesn't happen, right? You have to sort of take that one turn and pause and wait for it. I guarantee they're not expecting a heat wave either.
Have you ever laid eyes on a deception of such grandeur?
So I opted to take out the Jackal there just because there's 2 things. 1, they can generate profit. 2, they have the Mushy Truffle. So we don't really want to give them much to work with as far as putting, you know, units beside each other. Now, Bralance is going to have to go for the Emissary. That's a really good removal target right there. We have Morils. I don't have the second poison though. Now, a lot of us getting our Savola in hand in round 3 would have depended on, obviously, maybe getting out the Casino Bouncer combo earlier or whatnot. I felt like the Royal Decree was appropriate in round 1. But we definitely would have wanted bouncers there as well. So we have the option here to take that poison defensively. Well, you know, for the sake of getting coin on our own unit. I don't think we bluff.
Suffering ennobles, friend. You'll be a count once I'm done with you.
I think that's just the target.
Nothing turns my guts more than a filthy mage.
And we got to keep the 3 coins so that I could use one more of these tributes. And then we should see King of Beggars come out, which is going to make a big difference here. And I wanted to play a little bit top heavy first in this case because they still haven't used their leader. And to me, it doesn't look like their leader's doing a whole lot here, so...
To make you suffer like never before.
Premium grade won't find any better.
So effectively, their leader will play for 5 points. They don't have any coins, so... And that should make a difference. We still have to worry about Terra Nova, though, which is a problem. We survived the whole Joachim thing and the Brathens thing. Lydia. Truffle. Yen was the thing, too. That's a pretty good Terra Nova. I'm just glad that they're all stacking. Makes it a little bit easier for us to take our tributes here.
Best not play with fire, liable to get burned.
And here comes Cobb. Now, I'm opting to remove the... Yeah. Make their row suck. It might make a difference if they can't boost the other one by 2. And we don't even need to play our last 2 cards here. Works out quite well. Moving on to the second game, we have Carapace, and if this is Kelly, I'm kind of worried because our poisons won't do anything, and we don't have a Purify to get around a defender. The boat might help us, but it's going to be difficult regardless. There's a lot of armor that we're going to have to get through on the defender and on like the Parian Phantom and stuff like that, so I don't know how well we do in this matchup, to be fair. Which one's worse, you know? We have a poison that we can complete with Fist Deck Trafficker, but we don't necessarily have to take that. Again, just me thinking that we're probably not going to get the opportunity to poison something out. We don't really have a lot of room to self-poison because we drew into Gellert. Looking for something proactive to play here kind of sucks. So we have to decide if we think the Horson is going to be worth it to take on the Phantom. It doesn't seem like a bad trade, but then we don't really have a lot to go on with the coins. It's the least expensive it'll be in this game, so go ahead, take there, get some sort of board dominance here. I don't think we're going to get too much value from Horson anyways. I think the whole idea here is to Mariel's the defender and Heatwave the Kelly, and we're okay. If I can get that done, then we should be fine. Wonder if we just play Gellert or Jackal for points. Kind of have to play here. Or we can just high roll it again. Jackal's probably the safest.
One man's battlefield is another man's ripe patch for harvest.
Now this is probably the best Renegade Mage that you've ever seen, guys. Check it out.
The docks! The docks! Which way to the docks?
I was really happy about that one. It's an 11 point. And sure enough, I get a pass on that, which is nuts. But if I look at the kind of commitments that they made, it's not really enough to say that we're happy with it. Now, part of me is wondering, depending on what I draw here, I'm going to consider pushing into round 2, trying to get out that combo. If we can take a Heat Wave there, then we're doing really well. I want to thin, but I don't want to brick our hand. Let's go for it. We've yet to see boat. That's kind of important.
Oi, what's that up your sleeve?
It's difficult to not want to play when we have the location there, because what they might do is put down like a Siri, and then we can just move the poison from it to the Siri and kill it off. So there's consideration here to go and do something like that. We can use Gellert, poison a 5, or sorry, poison a bouncer, take that, throw that over there, use Fist Tech to finish it. It's one of those things where it starts off as kind of a slow play, but then it sort of gets good. There's the defender. Yeah, sure enough. Kind of ruins our plan a little bit. So it's one of those things where we have to decide, okay, do we even have the tempo to push ahead here? I don't think so. Like, I don't think we'll be able to play this one all the way. Especially with Beast out. It's kind of a problem. But we could take up the defender and poison out the beast if they don't see the line. That's not bad.
Why the nose strokes? Anyone know?
We do get the coin right back, so it's not too bad, right? I don't want to do it now because I don't want them to see that I have access to a poison in hand. So I'm just going to leave it. And then we can maybe just get that done next turn. And when I'm into a round like this, I don't think we're going to be getting our card back. I just think that we're going to be getting commitments, and that's kind of what I'm looking for at this point. Whether it's passing on Siri or whether it's, you know, getting out the first Kelly. Xavier's not too important here because we haven't even gotten out the first boat.
Nose, mouth, any hole will do.
I think that's fine. So we pretty much like have everything we need for round 3. I just need to get a heat wave, and that's going to be huge for us, right? Okay, perfect. So unless they're able to put that card back in their deck, I don't think we're too worried about it. Even so, the cards have Doom, so I'm feeling pretty good about it. They'll get ahead here though. Beast procs twice. We can make one last attempt to get up to it though. I mean, Gellert plus a Jackal clicks consideration. I'll just go for the pass though. At the time I was feeling pretty confident that if we can get out that Witch's Sabbath, then we win the game. defender has doomed. That's one of the biggest problems there. And we have so many points that come off of the Savola combo, right? It's just it's a pretty good close short round, mid round play. A Siggy in hand's really good here too. We have a couple spenders. Heatwave's even better. Philippa we could pull with the Royal Decree. King of Beggars comes out naturally. The other cards are okay. I think that's going to be the play, guys. Oh no.
Oh, I sense trouble.
I don't want to damage it. I think we just take trim on that. Yeah, because we have to get rid of that ASAP. If they boost it a little bit, I want to have a ceiling to get rid of that. Give them something else to worry about. Maybe they'll go and just try and kill off the King of Beggars, thinking that we don't have removal. They probably saw the horse and it said that's enough. And we did get one poison off, so maybe, again, they're thinking we don't have the poisons for it. Just more worried about the red haze. Perfect, it's ours. So we go ahead and we fill up on that every single day, and we just have to hold on to it for one more timer. It's one of those things where I thought about leaving it there till the counter was 1, but if you do that, that's like super greedy. I'd rather no one have it than them have it here. And the Kelly gets worse because they went ahead and hit the King of Beggars. They're boosting it, which makes our Heatwave even better, and we get the card advantage. It brings us back to where we should have been. So honestly, our bleed in round 2 worked out perfectly because we have the card back for round 3. So I'm feeling really good about that. Ah, okay, She Who Knows. That would have been kind of annoying to run into in round 2 for sure.
Fist tech never. Why Constable Ricky's powdered sugar?
Trying to spend down some coins so that when we do use Savola, we're not, or Siggy, we're not over profiting too much here. But we don't have the chance to do it. That was awesome. Moving on to the third game of the day, we have another Nilfgaard double cross here. So obvious mulligan goes away. Casino Bouncers round 1's kind of nice. I don't have a follow-up poison unless we take the one off location, which seemed to work out in the first match. Mulligan the Fist Tech Trafficker there though, looking for something else. I mean, we do have Fist Techs and all that. In round 1, I kind of like taking coin from the Fist Techs because then we don't have to use anything, like a really big commitment to get our bank to 9.
You wanted a coup? You got one. Together.
Pretty good roll. Walter kind of scares me, and location kind of scares me in this matchup because they're both cards that create additional cards, and if those are 2 cards that are being created that aren't from the opponent's starting deck to proc and assimilate twice, you know, it's kind of wild. So in this event, maybe we go ahead and play one of those a bit earlier. It's funny too, because whenever we play this, people are thinking that we're Salamander, but we're not Salamander, so it gives us like this sort of advantage almost, but at the same time, I find when we're losing round 1, they want to push us. They want to get out the Salamander that's not there so that they can win the game.
The senses can be
Now, I think our poison really depends on what they boost here.
Please wait, Your Excellency. Falling behind.
This feels like the exact same game.
draw that bandana over.
I was actually doubting myself for a second, thinking it was the same game. But last game we pulled Gellert with the Royal Decree, and in this game we're not. So, again, not boosting the Emissary, because we poisoned out the Artorias last time too, so I was just like, I was almost going to stop my recording right now and be like, going back and checking and all that, but I think we're good. It's possible they have a Purify, so if they have, let's say, Diviner, could be a thing. It has Assimilate as well, but usually people aren't running Diviners anymore. It's more like the Assassins instead, because the spying thing.
A person of trifling impulse.
I'm just thankful it's not a Fist Tech they pulled. $30-12. So we definitely play here. I opted for taking the Thin. If they pass here, we just win the round anyways. And the thought process was, okay, there's no Purify, so there's no Rush. And they know the poison's coming for sure. So we'll go ahead and take.
Premium grade won't find any better.
I would say comparing the two rounds, we didn't really spend a lot here. We went and we played a Gellert and a location, whereas they played Lydia and Vigo. So they actually spent more provisions if we're looking at it that way. King of Beggars can go back. Fist Tech's okay. Have to decide here, do we go for it? I could Siggy.
Should be smiling. I'm dead serious.
Here's the thing, we could put down like one of these Sea Jackals, we can go ahead and we could click once, then we can go ahead and maybe do something like this Savola, right? All good options. I think we have room to do so. Yeah, good call. The tribute amount is 8 on Savola, like I was saying earlier, instead of 9. So it's a little bit easier for coin management here. There's consideration to even click or take a tribute here even, yeah.
Closer. Come on now, try.
There we go, we can afford it now. Get the coin back. Because like I said, Savola's 8, so we just play that maybe next. And that should be like a huge jump for us. It's one of those things where I just really I don't want to say I fear their leader ability, but I just know how strong it can be from the whole RNG aspect of things, right? If they set up their board perfectly and they get just like a perfect leader, then it's horrible for us. So we keep 5 coin, we set up the tribute for Mariels, and we potentially have access here, right, to a poison kill. Walter and Fist Tech could be something if we roll into a poison. I think we have 1 Fist Tech Trafficker left in deck here, so basically it's going to demand that they start playing tall in order to match our tempo, and then we're going to try and punish them for it, basically. Seeing them give spying to the Frightener tells me that they could just go and Terran over that soon. I'm trying to see here if it's enough points in 1 turn. It doesn't seem like it is. So pretty good fill up here. We're taking an engine, and we're actually going to be able to proc assimilate here, which is pretty wild.
I shall flog them into submission.
Okay, that's pretty huge.
Eyes on the deception of such grandeur.
You know, there is actually some consideration here to go and take Mariels on the 12, because we prevent them from having bonded. There's also another line here to just pass, because if they play Terra Nova into our Frightener, it's still not enough points, which means they're probably going to have to use Leader to get the card back here. Menno's not good.
Clever maneuver.
And I'm looking at what they can get from Leader. I don't think anything from Leader would necessarily be enough, unless they rolled... Well, they took it defensively, so they'd have to roll the Decree, because Mariels wouldn't be enough. Walter I don't think would be enough. So they do get Decree. They're still down by quite a bit. And so they opt for this here.
Reality is that which shapes you, leaving
I think Terra Nova was the play.
no away.
And if I insert a needle here, what then?
It's around 2460 MMR for this one. Haven't played a lot of Syndicate since my last deck guide. Actually, I haven't played any, so it feels good to be back, I guess. Been really liking Syndicate, really liking Scoia'tael this month. Kind of like my main 2. Monsters have been pretty fun too. Haven't really been playing a lot of Scoia, like, you know, that's usually one of my mains, but not this month. So we have engine removal with the Horseman. We've got Tall Punish with the Poison package and the Mariels. They don't have a leader, and we have, you know, card advantage here, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. I don't think we care too much about the yen. I wonder if we ever just go for that here. It's probably just Walter. We hope that we don't draw anything that does damage. Swindle's pretty good. Swindle was 4. The Trafficker was 6. The Trafficker gives us self-poison, which, again, they could make a copy of and finish a poison. For short round 3, I think it's probably worth it just to be careful. I think that was the right play. I don't think they're going to be able to go super tall in the Terran over here, but then again, we do have poison, so we have one more chance at tall punish. Brathen's is pretty big. It's going to be... okay. That's great. Get some coin back here. Finish it up with the Trafficker. We could pay the tribute. Yeah, okay. It's all working out here. Pay the tribute, get the boat out at the end.
How's you doing business with?
You see what I mean? They actually did find the Trafficker. So it's probably for the best that we took what we did. I think it's still the most points.
Salamander has no fear of
Yeah,
fire.
it's definitely the most points. We take him, pay trip, get boat, end it with style, full bank.
Next, a mysterious
We don't need spenders, right?
beneath the sands of a fear.
Moving on to the next game here, we got
I'm dead serious.
Woodland Spirit. Force of Nature. There we go. I have a guide I put out on Force of Nature a few days back. If you guys haven't seen it, I actually went 5 in a row with it when I was recording the games. It was a lot of fun. It's posted 5 days ago, so I would recommend checking that one out if you guys want to play this later. It's been very successful, and not only in the pro ladder, but I've actually had a really good time with my Force of Nature deck playing the seasonal event. This morning, I looked at my challenges, and there's this Wild Hunt card back that I wanted to get because I've done all the trees in the entire game except for the seasonal ones. So every month now I'm working on them, and there was basically win 30 rounds in a seasonal event. And so I played, what's that one called? Battle Rush, where you have 8 seconds for a turn. And it was really easy playing that Thrive deck and that Dominance deck, because all you have to do is just chuck down cards, and, you know, while you're playing your turn properly, the opponent might fumble theirs if there's too many create plays or tutors and all this sort of stuff. So definitely check that one out. There's just so many directions that this deck could go that it's really hard to determine what they're going to be doing. So at this point in the game, I don't even know what to predict. I know the one that I put out recently was like a Wild Hunt and Relic, or Wild Hunt and, yeah, I guess Relic, like hybrid with Kashi. It was kind of like twining both of those archetypes together. This one is a little bit different, I suppose. I don't have the Archaspores in there. Walter here doesn't feel bad. Rolling a Renegade Mage is actually kind of nice. Do a bit of damage. Don't do it on the back row because it thrives. We want to actually fill our banks, so we don't want to use Bloody Good. Scribe's not really going to help us too much. We're not spawning a whole lot here. So we just, yeah, take that free tribute. Last time I made a deck guide with off the books too, called the Perfect Tribute. I made it about a month and a half ago. This card wasn't even as good, but I still liked it. It was 3 base power, now it's 4, it's just wild. So Slizzard comes down. I wasn't thinking really too much into what this could be. And playing a few more games with my buddy Prodigy, I've been seeing him experiment with more of the Arrakis Queen decks, and he seems to be running Slizzard. So at the time, I wasn't really aware that that's what people are doing, but that's why I passed early here, just because I didn't know. Maybe it's just hyper thin, you know, all the thinning packages out early. I don't think that's too bad. If they try and bleed us here, we do have that poison just sitting there that we can use in round 2. Goal of round 2, though, is to get that boat out for sure. I think we tuck back one of the jackals because we don't usually want 2 in one round. Thinking long and hard about it. I think that they're actually going to play. Yeah, they go ahead and put down the haunt. I have this sort of like gut feeling that the heat wave is not the haunt. And I think it's becoming more that way with the addition to Arrakis Queen and with the Weavis buff. So I'm just going to play a little bit safe here. I think that we actually just go and try and remove these consumes, because when I see consume cards teched into decks that aren't Death Wish, then I know they're trying to do something specific, and if we can get rid of them, then their little combination doesn't work, right? Now, there's consideration here to Siggy. There's also consideration to Ludo. I think Siggy's like the surefire way. It gets out boat when we don't need to spend. And now we don't have to worry about spending, like we can just put the coin wherever it matters. At this point, I'm thinking they're running like a Glusty or something like that. Like, it doesn't make quite sense to me. Glusty or Kiki or something like this. There is consideration here to ping that down and just get rid of the dominance for them. Play it here so we can keep the Freak Show a little bit healthier. 246 kills it. I honestly think that's the right play. We'll find out shortly, but defending card seems important to me at this point. And we've got... well, we have 2 Tall Punishes in hand. And technically 1 wide helper. Damaging 3 adjacent units by 2 is pretty crazy.
Dance with me, my darling, dance.
Thought about taking the mage, but it probably just better here to hit the Glusty or the Noonwraith. I just don't know if they actually have the Glusty here. It's looking kind of suspicious, right? If they consume that, they get rats on our side of the board that could take them back. I think it's one of those things. But we don't have to kill it off yet. We could just make it weaker with our Renegade. We can also just get some coin, but it's probably just better to do this.
What? Out of breath already?
No need to click anything else. We'll still be ahead by 1 point. So looking at it right now, the best option is probably to go and take the self-poison, maybe put it on the boat or something like that, or R1. And then we can just kill off the Wraith. There's that, or we could put this down here, which is fine, and just use one charge. Because if we're trying to get the 9 coin back, we have to start that counter right here. And this might actually provoke them to pass too. We still have a good move with, of course, the Trafficker, which should buy us one more turn. I don't know, it's starting to feel like a little bit of a self-bleed to me, to be fair. Because we're holding up pretty well. Now, there's even consideration here to take this. We get perfectly lined up cards here. We get the points back on the Wraith anyways. It puts us ahead. It feels pretty good here. I don't love the fact that we're going to be obviously over profiting here, but on a pass it's whatever. We go to the 3rd round with full bank, so it's probably the best situation that we can ask for. And it really comes down to how we draw here. Always think we put one of the jackals away. And Savola is really good to see here. It really sucks that we missed Philippa, but it is what it is. We have a poison package, a tall punish, and we have a heat wave. And most importantly, we defended the card, which is like really nice. We got out some big commitments with the Haunt, with Aubrey and King. We just have to worry about that leader and whatever else they play here. So I think Savola is fine.
I want to see corpses.
It also brings out another spender and more targets for Gellert. So when I see a Detlef, I'm starting to think that it's a trap. If they somehow have the Arrakis Queen, the Detlef could be really big, like a really big problem. And potentially they're running that in like a K-Ran or something to get multiple consumes in, or whatever the case. I don't think it's worth it. Would have been nice to the Philippa for the Kashi, but I think we do take this without the tribute. Since they didn't slam down leader, we get rid of one for pretty much free here. We can spend the coins on something else. It does slow down the Gellert, but there's a little bit of order of priority here. We have to poison out the Kashi as quick as possible, I think. And 9 coin lets us get the boat out real quick, and then we can finish off the poison with the Fistek Trafficker, take Gellert, spend it all around last turn with the Jackal, right? And this game's closer than what I would have liked to have, because obviously you know, not knowing what we're playing against is always a challenge, for sure. They have a bit of everything, so it makes it hard to really pinpoint. They didn't consume what I thought they would, so I guess we just go ahead and finish that poison off. Now they're able to trigger the Death Wish of that. Pull out the 9. That's really expensive. Like, we're down a little bit here. And they're going to be getting all the Thrive stuff, so it's tough. We do have a lot of coin in the bank, so depending on what they play here, we should be fine. We play around Tall Punish, kind of. We still have a 12. We play around Yurden quite well. So sure enough, they did have K-Ran, but that doesn't play for a lot of points. I'm glad we took our removals when we did, otherwise they would have given immunity to all the cards. That would have been a really big problem. We go ahead and click the Jackal here while we have 7. We refill to 7, click it again, and then we can just spend it down quickly and throw the last one on the beggar. Any missed clicks there, we would have lost the game. That was pretty wild. Moving on to the last game of the day, we have Scoia'tael, and it's Invigorate. So you guys know the drill. We get 3 mulligans. We put away boat, beggars, bouncer. You gotta look out for the 3 Bs. Not a lot in the way of proactivity here. We just take bouncers and we try and poison them after, I think. Just get some points. And to be quite honest, it's like a really good round securing Philippa by the looks of it, right? assuming that they don't have a lot of damage cards, they're mainly boosty, I'm thinking that this is probably gonna stick. So, I like that. Rebuke would kind of suck, but... Of course. Probably just take Gellert while we can here. Throw a couple down because we have the adrenaline for the next little bit. And I'm trying to get ready for the potential Temple Pass. And it's unfortunate that that Mahakam Defender's at 4 power instead of 5, honestly. Double Sim last year gets a little bit expensive. Makes me wonder if we can actually, like, seriously contend in the round, especially because they're splitting the points wide. And they use the leader charge too, so I know they're really hungry to get this round win on even. So I have to decide here, do we just pass at 7? Or do we just play down one more? But I don't think we have much time and space. So, to consider here.
Nose, mouth, any hole will do.
Poison the Gellert, so we have more targets for later. We have, you see, oh, there we go. And number 3. So that should get us out of the round if we're looking to pass on 6. It might even let us play down to 5. But I don't think we try and go for round win with the current state of what's going on here. And that's huge. Yeah, that's a pretty big commitment. Base power of that card is 4, so it must have been hand buffed at least a couple times. I do have the ability to remove that though. We can take the Trafficker here, we can poison ourselves with the Gellert after, and then probably just leave at that point.
Wind whistles Willow's whip.
20, okay. So we're getting close here to where we need to leave.
Same time next week.
Take that self-poison, 25-12. Maybe a Protector will do it.
No mercy!
Maybe that will do it too, holy. Comes down to what they roll at this point. That's not enough. Okay. Yeah, we've honestly taken this far enough. Let's go. And I know they can just play anything and win the round, but look at the provisions. 2 cards worth 12 here. Fov into Isengrim's Council. That's 2 8s, 2 12s, right? 2 6s from the Harvests. And we're just playing little self-poison things and a Philippa. And they played the Sursa, right? Which is, I think, an 8 provision card. Is it 8 or 7? Either. I think it's 7. Still, expensive. Normally, Invigorate doesn't like to bleed, I don't think. They want that long round so they can get the most carryover possible. So I'm thinking about that during the mulligans, but I'm also thinking about how aggro they played. And, you know, they might actually just go for it. So it's one of those things, right? Okay, they respect the whole Savola thing. We can just put down the Jackal at this point.
Oh, be ashamed of this empty waste.
Got the 3rd and final round and we don't have the boat, which is unfortunate, but if we play Siggy first, we should just be fine. Missing a lot of good cards here. We're missing... Oh, well, that doesn't help. Heatwave, Location, and Horson. Obviously, if boat would have been thinned out, it's something to consider, right? Sometimes you can intentionally thin out King of Beggars early if you need to get that consistency, or you're worried about drawing into your cards. Maybe you start off early game with not a lot going on. Just consideration to take it a bit early. But I think with the amount of commitments that we've seen so far, we're feeling pretty good. I don't have much proactivity here, so I have to waste coin with the Savola. That's just the pitfall here of going about it this way. Would have been nice if we could just obviously play something like the horse in or whatever, but or have something to damage even. Counters at 1, so Mariels will take it out. Ludo will take it out.
Got business for me?
That's like a pretty good Mariels though. The reason why I take Mariels here is because we're running into like this ongoing issue for the round where we have too many coin, but we also have a lot of cards that can or could potentially generate coin. So I wanted to just get rid of this issue right now and make it a little bit easier going forward in the round to manage our resources here. So we do have a good poison setup. I do have access to Horson in deck if we need it. And this is one of the things that I'm not super keen on. Like, when I'm playing Syndicate, I normally use Vivaldi Bank. I tried Royal Decree here, and I like Royal Decree much better for certain reasons, right? Whenever we want to pull a unit. But if I want my location or I want my Heat Wave, we're out of luck with that. So it's one of those things where I would potentially consider putting it back in. I just don't think Vivaldi with Jackpot, when I compare the two, is as effective, because when you overprofit, you don't get the coin for it, just like this deck. So you just have to have something out there to manage your coin before you play Vivaldi, if that's the case, and have enough coin to dive deep enough with Vivaldi to get what you need.
We steal only from the most elite.
So we know Tribbit. I'm feeling pretty good here. Wasn't expecting Skags at this point. I know a lot of people do run it, but a lot of people don't. It's not in every version that I have because there's so many things that you're looking to hand buff that honestly I felt like Skags doesn't always get the attention if you don't draw him in round 1. And see, what I'm worried about here is, okay, getting that poison on the defender. I don't remember if we have... You see, we don't have the extra. So that actually just stays. They don't know this, but we might have to actually pull into another Salamander Mage and finish the game that way. And I don't know how I feel about that.
Come closer. Come on now, try.
I just want to keep that out of rebuke range, so I'm just making sure we do that. Aglaeus looks pretty underwhelming. 12 points is like whatever. It's modest. It plays, I think 12 for 10 is still like not bad, you know? And we have a spender, so I opted to go for the tribute here. It's probably the most effective. And then we can just go ahead and spend all the way on everything. And depending, we know last card's probably Torque, so depending how big that is, it could cost us the game here. Let's have a look. 21, it's not enough. We'll see you guys tomorrow with brand new deck guide.